Welcome. My name is Father Mark Tubes, Vicar General and Coordinator of Strategic Planning for the Diocese of Houma Thibodeau. And I'd like to welcome you today into a conversation about the future of the Catholic Church in South Louisiana, the future of the Diocese of Houma Thibodeau, and an exciting strategic plan entitled Plans of Hope. This resource was designed for you to help you understand the details of the strategic plan. It's focused on renewing parish life, forming disciples, and perhaps an invitation to you to join us in the mission to be agents of change, to partner with God for a future filled with hope. Our conversation today, our story, is divided into three chapters. Chapter 1, why we started and how we got where we are. Chapter 2, your parish, the heart of the church, and what is really the heart of the strategic plan. And then chapter 3 is about the plan itself and the details therein. So let's jump in together. Chapter 1, why we started and how we got where we are. Matthew Kelly, a Catholic author and speaker, once said, and I quote, "Everything great in history has been built by people who believe the future can be better than the past. One of the tragedies of modern day Catholicism is the disbelief that the future will be better than the past. That is disappointing because we have a mission given to us by God." End quote. As you hear the story of strategic planning, as you hear an invitation for us to partner with God for the future of Catholicism, it's important for you to ask yourself today, do you believe the future can be better than the past? Lots of us, as we look at the future, are influenced by our perception of how did we get where we are and understanding the most recent atrophy in the Catholic faith. It's important for us to be honest. It's important for us to understand the trends so that we can respond accordingly. And so if we're going to partner with God in our future, it's important for us to understand our history. The Catholic Church in South Louisiana was conceived on March 2nd, 1977, given birth on June 5th, 1977, carved out of 3,400 square miles of beautiful Cajun country, Terrebonne Parish, Lafourche Parish, Morgan City, and of course the city of Grand Isle. In 1977, our total population was 197,915, and our Catholic population reported to the Holy See was 132,000, which meant that 67% of the people in our area were Catholic. 40 years later, today, in 2017, our total population nears 238,257. Our Catholic population is estimated at 90,293, which means today 38% of the people are Catholic. 40 years ago, we were 67% Catholic, and today we're 38% Catholic. In 40 years, we've lost nearly 30% of our Catholics. Now, let me pause for a second, because those numbers aren't merely numbers, those are people. Those statistics are souls. Those are people in my family. Those are people in your family. Those are people in our parishes. And if we're going to understand how to respond effectively in the future, we want to peer into not only the numbers, but the trends behind the statistics so that we can adequately partner with God and serve people as we move forward in the future. The mass statistics are equally as sobering. In 2005, on any given Sunday, 30,548 people went to Mass at all the Masses in the Diocese of Houma Thibodeau. That equated to about 25% of the Catholic population and 14% of the overall population. In 2017, on any given weekend at every Catholic church in the Diocese of Houma Thibodeau, it's estimated that 23,206 people attend Mass, which is now 26% of the Catholics and only 12% of the general population. To imagine and to admit that in the last 40 years, we've lost 30% of our Catholics, and today, on any given Sunday, we only evangelize 12% of the total population. As you look at the future, do you believe that the future can be better than the past? This is important because we have been given a mission by Jesus Christ himself. And the good news is that God will never abandon us. On September 23rd, 2013, the Holy Spirit gifted us with Bishop Shelton Fabre. He was installed the fourth bishop of the Diocese of Houma-Thibodaux on October 30th, 2013. And in those initial months of his getting to know his new diocese, he noticed a few very beautiful things. Number one, he noticed that we have great people in our diocese. We do have a great history. We have a joie de vivre in our Cajun culture. We have a history of coming together, and we have a beautiful foundation to build upon as we look to our future. But he noticed that in order for us to honor our past and build for our future, we need a culture of planning. We need structure that can give a place for the Spirit to lead us. With all that was happening and all that was beautiful, Bishop Fabre desired a culture of planning. It was in March of 2015 that he noticed that our 40th anniversary was quickly approaching in 2017. So in March of 2015, he decided to gift the people of our diocese on our 40th anniversary with the gift of a strategic plan that would carry us into that next decade. And when asked what was the one thing he wanted to accomplish with the strategic plan, he was quick to answer the renewal of the parish, the renewal of parish life. With a strategic plan in his heart, whose aim would be to renew parish life, the process began. From June of 2015 through May of 2016, we listened. We listened to our clergy. We listened to our diocesan staff. We listened to the laity. In over 12 months, we listened to over 1,000 voices. Bishop Fabre listened to you. And what did he hear? Well, the first thing he heard was the desire for more on Sunday. From better preaching to more vibrant music to an overall deeper encounter with God at Mass on Sunday, the first theme that emerged from the laity was their desire for more on Mass on Sunday. Secondly, we heard the laity desire more for and from their priest. And from the priests themselves, we heard several themes: a desire for a greater sense of fraternity, a spiritual renewal inside their own vocation, and to feel more equipped for the ever-changing demands of evangelization. Next, we heard that adults are hungry to learn more about their faith. How many times as we listened to people did we hear adults share examples of how they didn't know how to answer questions from former Catholics who had left the faith and were now asking them how to defend the faith? We heard adults say that they didn't learn much when they were younger in CCD, and now that they're raising their kids, they don't have answers to the questions. We heard adults just talk about how complex and tough life can be, and their desire to find God in the midst of it all. Loud and clear, we heard that adults were hungry to be fed. Adults were hungry to learn more about their faith. We heard lots about our youth. We heard from parents who were concerned that there wasn't more in the parish for their teenagers or for their young children. There was an acknowledgement that there was a lot happening on a diocesan level, but we also heard that it can be tough sometimes to find vibrant youth ministry on a parish level. We also heard from students and parents that perhaps it was time to do a better job with CCD, honoring the countless hours of the volunteers who are trying to serve our young people, the general consensus was that CCD was no longer effectively forming our young people the way that it used to, and that we needed to do more with our youth. Finally, we heard that we have great schools, but we could have even better schools. We heard parents talk about their desire for a stronger Catholic identity and more affordable tuition. Again, honoring the countless men and women who give themselves as teacher and faculty at our Catholic schools, we heard a desire for us to strengthen all that we offer our Catholic families in our Catholic schools. We listened to over 1,000 people, and we heard 5 themes emerge: Sunday, priests, adults, youth, and schools. And as we look to a future that can be better than the past, we need to respond not only to what we heard, but we need to respond to the mission that has been given to us by God. Of course, we want to respond to what the people are telling us, but we want to respond to what God is telling us. God has given us a mission, and we have a moral responsibility to do more on Sunday, to help our priests, to serve our adults, to open up possibilities for our youth, and to strengthen our Catholic schools. That's a mission given to us by God, and it's one that we are prepared to respond to. Imagine if we strengthen Sunday. Imagine how our future will be better than the past. In fact, our future will be filled with hope. Imagine if we help our priests. Our future will be filled with hope. Imagine if we served adults and helped them grow in their faith. Our future will be filled with hope. If we help our young people and transform the way that we help them find God in their life, form them into strong disciples, our future will be filled with hope. And if we help our schools strengthen their Catholic identity, form disciples, strong men and women in the faith, then our future will be filled with hope. If we join our forces together and focus our energy on strengthening Sunday, helping our priests, helping adults and youth grow in their faith, and strengthening our Catholic schools, our future will be filled with hope. My friends, I want to welcome you to our strategic plan entitled Plans of Hope, because our future will be better than the past. Our future will be filled with hope. Chapter 1 was why we started and how we got where we are. And I'd like to draw you now into chapter 2, which is your parish, which is the heart of the church and really is the heart of the strategic plan. Again, Bishop Fobb, when he was conceiving all of the vision for the strategic plan itself, was asked, what's the one thing you want to accomplish? His focus was clear from the very beginning, to focus on the parish and the renewal of the parish. That type of singular focus, especially on parish life, is important. Why? Because the trends are happening in parishes. An atrophy from 67% Catholic to 38% Catholic is happening in the diocese, but it's happening in parishes. Now, we can ask the question, why is it happening? And there's no one single answer of why we're seeing the atrophy, and there's no one single solution. There's no silver bullet that's going to make it all go away. But there is a simple question that we can ask today to enter into a conversation about solutions. Simple question is, what's the purpose of the parish? Imagine this. If we went to Mass this weekend and we polled all 23,206 people who walked into Mass this weekend, imagine how many different answers we would get to that single question. What's the purpose of the parish? Some people would say, well, it's community. Others would say the purpose of the parish is evangelization. Still others would say it's for service. And depending on the personality of your parish or the type of leadership from the pastors that you've had, maybe even the time that you have to be involved in programs that are going on in your parish. You might resonate with one of those answers or come up with one of your own. You might have your own definition or answers to the question, what's the purpose of the parish? But think about it. If every one of us answers that simple question in a different way, does it surprise us that we're struggling in parishes if we can't even answer the most basic question? There's a great quote that says, in the absence of direction or with the lack of direction, people tend to create their own. And imagine that if that's true in business or leadership, the same is true when it comes to church or evangelization. In the absence of direction or clarity about the purpose of the parish, parishes tend to create their own purpose or their own direction. And so again, we go back to a very important question. What's the purpose of the parish? I've been a priest now for 16 years. I've been a Catholic my entire life. I am a son of the diocese. In the last 44 years of my life, I've heard people say things like, the parish is the people. I've heard people say things like, the parish belongs to the people. I've heard people say, I've even said myself, the people own the parish. Now that's true in some regard, that the parish is the people. While we have church structures and parish buildings, the strategic plan, the Catholic Church, everything that we're talking about right now is about people. But the parish belongs to Jesus Christ. Not to me, not to you, not to any of us individually. It's a church that was given to us by Jesus, founded by Jesus. We are stewards of the parish. He has entrusted us with the faith. But the parish belongs to Jesus. And if the parish belongs to Jesus, then it's to him that we look for the answer to the question about what's the purpose of the parish. Again, in the absence of direction, people tend to create their own. And in the lack of direction regarding the mission of a parish, parishioners tend to create their own mission. The parish belongs to Jesus Christ. And the purpose of the parish is determined by Jesus Christ. The mission is the mission of Jesus. So what's the purpose of the parish? What's the mission of the parish? Well, for that, we go to Jesus when he gave us the mission statement for the church. In the Gospel of Matthew chapter 28, as he says, the 11 disciples went to Galilee, to the mountain to which Jesus had ordered them. Then Jesus approached and said to them, all power in heaven and on earth has been given unto me. Go therefore and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit, teaching them to observe all that I have commanded you. And behold, I am with you until the end of the age. Jesus Christ, after his death and resurrection, right before he ascends to his Father, the last words that he says to people on earth, he looks at his apostles and he gives them the mission as he says, go therefore and make disciples of all nations. He looks at his apostles and says, here's the mission, make disciples. What's the purpose of the church? What's the purpose of the mission of the church? To make disciples. What's the purpose and mission of the diocese? To make disciples. What's the purpose and mission of the parish? To make disciples. Since the Second Vatican Council, all of the major church documents that have been published confirm that the mission is to make disciples. Popes Paul VI, John Paul II, Benedict XVI, and Pope Francis himself right now confirm that we have a mission to make disciples. The U.S. bishops themselves, in their most recent document on evangelization entitled Living as Missionary Disciples, published in March of 2017, confirms that the mission is to make disciples. The purpose of the parish is to make disciples. And so two natural questions arise. First question would be, what is a disciple? And the second is, how do you make one? Let's talk about what's a disciple. In the strategic planning process, we were able to glean from the church 9 signs of spiritual maturity, 9 signs of a mature disciple. Number 1, they have a relationship with Jesus Christ. Number 2, they've made some type of decision to turn away from mortal sin in their life. Their relationship with God is more than just emotion. It's grounded in something bigger than the moment, or you might say emotion. They desire God's will in a basic way in their life. They desire holiness. They live a life engaged with the sacraments with some regularity. They want holiness so much that they have people in their life, community that holds them accountable. They're not self-centered anymore. They're others-centered. They see other people in the dignity of human life. And there's a confidence or a freedom to share the good news with other people. These 9 signs of spiritual maturity, these 9 signs of a mature disciple, doesn't mean that we're perfect, right? We're all on the journey together. We're going to be growing in these aspects of spiritual maturity our entire life. However, imagine if you were thriving in all 9 of those, what your life would look like. And imagine if your parish intentionally helped people with each of those aspects of spiritual maturity. Imagine if our resources were intentionally designed for that. Imagine if we saw people growing in a more normative way. Imagine what your parish would look like. So again, 2 natural questions arise. What's a disciple? Well, we kind of painted a picture of what's possible. So the question is, well, how do we make one? How do we make disciples in our parishes? As we look to the scriptures, as we look at the life of Jesus, as we study the documents of the church and listen to her wisdom, we recognize 5 stages in the formation process. 5 stages as we are growing as a disciple. To connect, encounter, conversion, grow, and mission. Again, how do you make disciples? Well, the first thing we do is we connect people to each other. People are more successful in persevering through a process if they're connected to people during a process. We all know this. We all know what it's like to start a new year with New Year's resolutions, or we've all been there on Ash Wednesday wanting this Lent to be the best Lent you've ever had. And we know that we are more successful in growing in virtue if we're connected to other people. The same is true in the stages of formation. As we grow spiritually, we're more successful in persevering in that growth if we're connected to people in the process. Number 2, we have a personal encounter with the person of Jesus Christ, a life-changing encounter. That's what happened when people met Jesus. He said, follow me, encounter me. And that encounter with his love and his mercy transformed the woman at the well, transformed Mary Magdalene. It transformed Peter and Paul. What we see happening in people's lives, it's the fuel for the formation process, this encounter with the person of Jesus Christ. That leads us to an ongoing conversion, right? We have to choose to choose. Because of the relationship, I choose to say no so that I can choose to say yes to him. And if there are things in my life that prevent me being with the person, then I begin to choose to stay in the relationship. From there, I learned how to stay in the relationship. I learned about him. I learned about his church. And I'm no longer based on mere emotion, right? The subjective experience of God is now grounded in the objective truth of the truth. I'm anchored in him now and learning how to live in the conversion. And then finally, it's him. I begin to hear his voice. People teach me how to hear his voice. He begins to lead me daily. I want to respond to the way he calls me. His is the greatest mission in the world. It's the most exciting thing happening. And whether it's in some grand ministry or in the simplicity of being a better father or mother or husband or wife, he's the one who leads me in the mission. And I respond to him because I love him. How do you make disciples? Well, we intentionally help people move through 5 stages of spiritual maturation: to connect, have an encounter, conversion, grow, mission. Now imagine if our parishes were intentionally connecting people to walk with each other. Imagine if it were easy for you to get plugged in, not into serving the parish, but into relationships with people in the parish, and those relationships with other people helped you grow spiritually. Imagine if it was easy for people to connect on the journey. Imagine if our parishes were intentionally designed to help people encounter a life-changing encounter with the person of Jesus Christ. Imagine if we were doing that intentionally. Imagine if your parish helped you turn away from sin. How many times have we said, this is the last time I want to confess this, or I wish I could just put this behind me? Imagine if your parish was intentionally designed to help you grow in virtue. Imagine with me tonight if our parishes were intentionally designed to help people grow like never before. And imagine if our parishes equipped people, taught people about their gifts, made it easy to respond to God, and we were intentional about doing that. In other words, imagine if our parishes were intentionally forming disciples. We were intentionally helping people move through the 5 stages of formation. That would be a future that would be better than the past. And that would help our future be filled with hope. Imagine if your Sunday experience were a life-changing encounter with Jesus Christ. And imagine if your parish helped you with that. Imagine if our priests were more confident in forming disciples. Imagine if our adults found it easy to grow in their spiritual life. Imagine if our youth were being formed as disciples. And imagine if our Catholic schools were intentionally helping their students move through spiritual maturity. In other words, welcome to the story. Here's the hope here. Well, how do we make disciples in parishes? We help people connect, have an encounter, grow in the conversion, grow in the faith, be equipped for mission. What do we need to do that? What do we need to make disciples? Well, we need more vibrant experience on Sunday. We need priests who can lead that. Adults need to know what the process is and find it easy to go through it. Same thing with our youth, and our schools can be agents for change. And my friends, that's exactly what we heard to people in all those listening sessions. It all kind of comes together. How do we move forward with a future filled with hope? Well, we renew our parishes. And how do we renew our parishes? We help people connect, encounter, have conversions, grow mission, move through the process of spiritual maturity. And to do that, we focus on those 5 areas of Sunday, our priests, adult formation, youth formation, and our Catholic schools. Exciting chapter. We started by talking about why we started and how we got where we are. We just finished a conversation about the heart of the church, the heart of the plan. Let's peer now into chapter 3, which is the plan itself. 2 quotes got at us from the very beginning. Every good plan is a fruit of good planning. And we said to ourselves over and over that the process is as important as the product. Let's talk about the process of how we receive the strategic planning from God. Over 800 volunteers, both clergy and laity, participated in the process. That is a staggering and historic milestone for a diocese, that over 800 people rolled up their sleeves, jumped in the trenches with us to make a difference. There were 13 major commissions that each followed a four-step process in planning. Number one, what are we hearing? What's our task that has been given to us? Step two, what's the best practices? Who's doing it better than anybody else? Step three, how can we apply those best practices to our particular situation? And let's go ahead and concretize that into some type of formal action plan, right? What do we want to accomplish? What are the steps that we need to successfully navigate to reach that goal? And what are the resources that we need to achieve our end? The plan itself has one focus, which is the renewal of parish life, one mission, which is to form disciples, and the strategic plan with one focus and one mission has 4 chapters. Chapter 1 starts with Sunday and focuses on preaching, liturgical music, our priests and deacons. Chapter 2 of the strategic plan centers on beyond Sunday, aspects of adult formation or youth formation, our Catholic schools, and integrating the principles of Catholic social teaching. Chapter 3 leads us into resources needed to support our parishes, with significant attention around vocations, parish leadership, stewardship, and diocesan governance. And the final chapter focuses specifically on multicultural formation. So let's go ahead and take a look at chapter 1, which is all aspects of Sunday. We have goals and objectives centered on 4 different areas: preaching, music, priests, and deacons. Of course, we have goals and objectives centered around the resources available to our priests and deacons, training opportunities to help them feel more confident and competent in the art of preaching, and enculturation initiatives designed to ease the transition for our foreign-born priests, to help them feel more confident in preaching within the culture of the Church of South Louisiana. Our goals and objectives for liturgical music focuses on training, resources needed, and liturgical formation so that we improve the quality of music at Mass. Goals and objectives for our priests not only focus on preaching, but then touch other aspects of the priest's life, like his pastoring and leadership skills, the sense of fraternity amongst the priests, and the renewal of their hearts and of their vocations. And as we look at the deacons, we again focus on preaching, their diaconate identity, their relationships as brother deacons, and the renewal of their vocation. Chapter 2 focuses on 4 areas that actually extend beyond Sunday now. As we look at parish life, how are we helping our adults and youth in formation, our Catholic schools, and social justice? The goals and objectives around adult formation, we want to make it easy for adults to move through that 5-step process of spiritual growth. And that focuses on, we need leaders to help us in that process. We need to train those leaders to eventually become active in parish ministry. They need resources, good, relevant resources in parishes that can help people grow, and then we need to support them from the pastoral center. Same thing with the youth. We want to form our teenagers through those 5 steps of spiritual maturation. We need to fix CCD and bridge the gap between CCD and youth ministry. Same thing there. We need leaders to step forward that we can train to be active in the ministry with our young people. A new pedagogy in the classroom, a new way to reach out to our students in CCD with better resources and ongoing support. Goals and objectives for our Catholic schools centers on Catholic identity, academic excellence, leadership at the school, and sustainability for our future. And finally, as we look beyond Sunday and integrate the teachings of Catholic social teaching in our lives, we have goals and objectives to raise awareness to form people in the beauty of our Catholic tradition and make it easy for people to get involved in service opportunities. Finally, chapter 3, resources needed to support our parishes. We start with vocations, and the goals and objectives there focus on leadership within the vocations office, focusing all the efforts of the priests who are active in recruiting and helping foster a culture of vocations. There are goals and objectives for those who are leaders in parishes, whether those are pastoral councils, the paid staff, and ministry leaders, bringing best practices into the parish for our paid staff and our volunteer leaders. Goals and objectives for stewardship center on the renewal of the Catholic Foundation of South Louisiana. Goals and objectives to help fund the strategic plan as well as support parishes in the future. And finally, our diocesan governance plan, creating a new culture within the pastoral center centered on the success of our parishes, greater accountability within our best practices and job descriptions and job performance of our diocesan staff. And finally, chapter 4, multicultural formation, specifically helping our Spanish-speaking Catholics, our African Americans, and our Native American Indians. 4 chapters, which is the strategic plan, with one focus, the renewal of parish life, and one mission to form disciples. Our timeline as we roll out the strategic plan will unfold in 3 phases. So phase 1 is our build phase. That's July 2017 to July 2018. We want to organize our parishes and begin to tailor the implementation of the plan to their needs. We'll recruit volunteers and then train those volunteers to be strong leaders in parishes. Phase 1, we're going to focus on our clergy, helping them feel more confident, build some structure within the parishes and pastoral center, and making sure that we have the resources for sustainability. Phase 2, that's our grow phase. Once we've built in phase 1, we want to grow in phase 2. That's August 2018 to July 2019. Focus here is going to be on preaching and liturgical music, new initiatives to make it easy for adults to grow as disciples. Same things with our youth, new resources and initiatives to help our youth and our schools. Also going to focus on developing our parish staffs and further development of our diocesan staff. And then finally, in phase 3, we're focused on mission. We'll continue initiatives for our adults, continue to form our youth. We'll also begin to integrate aspects of Catholic social teaching into the mission of the Catholic Church with a more relational approach to evangelization, so it's easier for people to get involved with the mission of Jesus Christ. That's August 2019 to June of 2020. So 3 phases over 3 years: to build, to grow, and to be in the mission. And that, my friends, is why I have great hope. Because everything that's been built in history has been built by people who believe the future can be better than the past. And I'm inviting you today to believe with me that our future is going to be better than the past because we have a mission by God. It's our diocese, and it's our future. And as Bishop Fobb has said from the very beginning, we're in this together. We're in this together, and we need your help. Pray for us, but sometimes our call is for more than just intercession. If you want to join us and be a part of the mission, go to our website, htdiocese.org/together, because we are in this together. We're in this together for a future that can be better than our past. We're in this together for a future filled with hope. God bless you.